Hello, and welcome to Grug Gaming. And welcome to another episode of What's in the Box? Magic the Gathering. So, we have got the Core 19 Planeswalker deck for Liliana here. Also, got the promo. Hopefully everybody made it down to your local game store. Got to play in the open house. Ooh, look at that glare. Beautiful. Look at that foil. I love the way some of these foils look. Only problem is I had to put it in the sleeve. These new cards. This is starting to get a little ridiculous. We saw this on the Bristling Hydras. That card is a week. I've had that card for 1 week, and it's just been sitting on a table. And we're just here in my house. Nothing fancy. Just normal humidity. Nothing crazy. I don't understand what these cards are going to look like when it comes to a couple years from now. I mean, I have old cards. I'm going to do this while we're talking about this. I just had it on my head. Let me reach behind me here. Whoa, what do we got here? I mean, what is some of this from? Let me find something truly old. Oh, why is this all behind me? Why can't I find any of my cards today? Here we go. So, I mean, I have old cards from when I was a kid in high school. I mean, you're talking... I mean, this card has a tiny bit of warp to it, right? Like, just a tiny bit. I mean, we pull out another... Sorry, you can't really see much, but... Like, here's a Nettling Imp. I love the Nettling Imp card. This is an old card, too. This card, you can see it has a little bit of warping to it. I mean, just a tiny bit. But, I mean, this card was made in 1990, what? 95? 94, 95, 96, somewhere around there. I mean, it's 2018. This card is 20-some years old. And that's all the warping it's ever done. And it's in the same environment as all the other cards. I mean, I'm going to make sure I don't knock this pop over I have here. Here's the Crawworm. One of my favorite cards ever. The original Crawworm. Just a wonderful card. Again, these are cards from when I was a kid. Look at that. That's almost perfectly straight. And these just were kept in you know, cardboard card boxes until I sleeved them out a little bit ago. Nothing major, and, you know, they move with me, and all kinds of stuff, and they look beautiful. I mean, even to this day. But then you get into these new cards. Oh, you're going to hear me talking sideways, because somehow a copy of TIE Fighter vs. X-Wing has decided to get in the way. There we go. And then we look at this card. I mean... Look at this. I just noticed this was sitting on my table as I was looking at my vampire deck. I mean, that's a Dominaria card. And it's just been sitting... It's in the same room I have those other cards stored. It's just been sitting out. This is really ridiculous. And it's worrisome for me because I like some of these new cards. But wow. I mean, luckily you can put these in a sleeve. I have some sleeves here? Yeah, I do. Sorry to get off topic. But, I mean, you can put these in a sleeve, and if you use a heavy-duty sleeve like Dragon Shield, which I prefer Dragon Shield to all the other sleeves, I mean, the rigidity of the sleeve will help a lot, and you'll be able to put those in a deck and play with them. I mean, it really helps. But that cardboard, I don't know what's happening. I hate to complain about things. I mean, I really like Magic, but, man, when you're putting down, you know, when you buy a couple $100 worth of cards, to have them do that. And again, this is... I got this card probably the week that Dominaria came out. So what was that, 3 months ago? It is the 3rd of July, 2018. And that's happening to the cards already? That's ridiculous. I know a lot of people talk about that, but I think that's crazy. So I am concerned about the cardstock quality and the fact that you have to sleeve things to keep them from going crazy. It just is worrisome. over time, and I really hope that's something that they go back and fix. Like, I'll be honest, I pay a pretty big premium for my cards because I buy them from a local game store as opposed to buying them online. I mean, I probably, for a box of booster packs, I probably pay 20 bucks more than what I could get online. I mean, but I'll tell you what, I would pay 30 bucks more for a box of boosters if they would stay straight. But hey, that's just the state of Magic. Let's get into the pack. Sorry to be a big downer. I just want to talk about that because I sat down to do this video and I saw this card, particularly this brand new card from just a couple days ago, sitting on the desk, and it already looked like that. And all it's been doing is sitting on this playmat right here all week. That just seemed ridiculous to me. I mean, I don't want to complain a lot about it. And again, sleeves really do the trick. But man, that just makes Grug sad. All right, so let's move on. Core 19 Planeswalker decks are here. The thing with the Planeswalker decks is they're meant to be an intro pack. They give you a reference card on how to play, information on the pack itself. They also go ahead and give you a Planeswalker and a deck to support them, but the cards are not extremely strong. The deck is not extremely strong. It's meant as an entry-level deck. It's not going to compete against decks at your normal Friday Night Magic, unless you're playing against other Planeswalker decks. I mean, they can play against each other just fine, because they're kind of the same power level, but they're not really up there. They're really meant for you to, you know, be your stepping stone. I believe they're $10.99, if I remember correctly, for the Planeswalker deck. So you think about it, you get your intro deck, you know, your free deck of some basic Magic cards from your local game store showing up, and then for $10.99 you can buy your Planeswalker deck package. Again, I'll show you the package there again, just if anybody wants to take a look at it. Pretty fancy, all your normal stuff. We'll go ahead and get rid of the box here. And then you can add these cards to your intro deck, and then you can pick up the new Deck Builder's Toolkit, which is meant to build on it. And of course, they're built around basic mechanics to teach you the game. But if you're an existing player, they don't have a lot of power. We're going to kind of talk about that as we look through it. So inside, you get a foil Planeswalker card, a cardboard deck box. Actually, I like the fact you get this little deck box. I kind of like these. There's a lot of these. You know, I've got like the Teferi deck boxes and things from those decks. I kind of like these little deck boxes, especially because they are designed to hold sleeve cards, which is nice. And you got a piece of plastic, which is quite nice. Everyone loves plastic, especially the environment. All right, so inside here, first thing we have, we'll hold off on the Planeswalker for a sec. You get inside the Planeswalker box, deck box. Kind of set that up to the side up here. We'll probably not have enough room on camera. We'll bring it back in at the end. You have the cards themselves right there. You get a booster pack of Core Set 2019. If you want to get them early, you can get them by buying these because these are on sale as of now. Of course, this video hopefully will go up before that. We've seen this in other openings. We get the quick reference card for Magic, giving you the stages of Magic, how to play, the very basics of the game. All right there. Very beautiful. Useful if you're coming back to the game again or you're new. It gives you all the basics you need to know. You get a thing telling you about your deck. So this is kind of neat and handy. Hopefully this will all fit on screen. Whoa! So what you get here is you get a pamphlet that tells you you've got a 60-card deck. Don't mess with it. Play with it a bit till you learn it. It tells you a little bit about how the deck works. It gives you some important terms that the deck is going to use. So this deck is going to use things like flying creatures, creatures with death touch, creatures with trample, and the sacrifice mechanic. So it kind of gives you a base mechanics to build off of without throwing everything at you. It explains to you how Planeswalkers work, and we're going to go look those rules up. And of course, on the back, it tells you the Deck Builder's Toolkit, their new product for how to build this out. From what I understand, this is going to be built around the cards. The Deck Builder Toolkit, I think, is supposed to have 125 cards that are specifically selected to help build on the Planeswalker decks themselves. And then, you know, Magic League, which is a great way to go. Friday Night Magic, all your ad copy that you would want in the world. But nice little pamphlet to tell you kind of what your deck does. All right, we'll open that last. So let's talk about the cards, shall we? First, you get your Planeswalker. Can I get her out without damaging her? I hate this kind of packaging. Come on. Come on. There we go. All right. So the first thing you get is your Planeswalker card. All right. So here we have our Planeswalker, Liliana the Necromancer. She comes out for 5 mana. She's a 4 loyalty Planeswalker to begin with. Her abilities are +1, target player loses 2 life. -1, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. And -7, destroy up to 2 target creatures, put up to 2 creature cards from graveyard into the battlefield under your control. No emblem effect. So let's talk about this card. You're going to spend 5 mana to put her out. So she's going to come in kind of at the top of your curve, especially if you're playing in Standard, where, you know, 5 mana, that's your big cards. That's your expensive cards. Unless you're ramping or some way that, you know, you're playing a green deck where you've got stuff that's got 10 casting costs, but in different ways to get it out. That's a lot of mana to spend on a card to put on the field. So that card better do something. So what does this card do? Well, the minute she comes out, she can do one of her 2 effects. She can either +1 to do 2 damage, right? So 2 damage, instant burn. I mean, if that's all you did with her, think about it, that's the equivalent of Shock in a red deck. So Shock, that's a 1 mana cast. It does 2 damage. That's what she does, you know? Can you target a player with Shock? I don't remember. I think you can. I think you can. So that's the first thing. She could just hit your player for 2 life, 2 life, 2 life. That's okay, but for 5 mana, I mean, you could be dropping. I mean, let's compare this to a 5 mana card. Ugh. Sorry, I'm going to find a... I'm not going to use another Planeswalker to put out there, but... just to give you 2 examples. In Standard, at 5 mana, you could be dropping a Crested Sunmare on the board. You could be putting a 5/5 body out there that whenever you gain life makes another 5/5 creature. That's a lot of damage to put on the board, right? I mean, and that's 5 mana, same amount. You could be putting your Verdurous Gearhulk on the board. This guy, you know, a 4/4 dropping 4 +1/+1 counters on other creatures on the board. You could be putting this out on the board. So when you think about it, is one of these big bodies out on the board as better than or as good as this card for 5 mana? That's really where the weakness on this Planeswalker comes through. Considering what else you could get for that kind of mana spread, this right here, kind of weak. So the other thing to keep in mind there is -2 life, fine, but that's kind of expensive. You spend 5 mana for that? I don't know. I don't know. Next up, it does have nice foiling though. Next up, the return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. I mean, not bad, but again, do you want to spend 5 mana for that effect when there are multiple cards out there that do that for much less mana? Now, of course, the big one here is the -7. Destroy up to 2 target creatures, put up to 2 creature cards from the graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So if you were to say 5 mana to make that happen, that's not bad. I mean, that's 2 destruction spells. I mean, Cast Down or Walk the Plank. I mean, 2 sorcery speed spells like that. That's 4 mana right there. So if you get that off with the additional putting cards from your graveyard, you've paid for the 5. But she comes out at 4 loyalty. That means she has to survive 3 turns on the field. You know, there's plenty of cards out there that can exile a permanent. There's plenty of ways to get rid of permanent cards. She has to be on the field for 3 turns. And then on the 4th turn, if she hasn't been attacked heavily by creatures, that you're now maybe behind on because you spent 5 mana on her. If she hasn't been exiled, if she hasn't been destroyed, if Teferi hasn't come along and put her back in the bottom of your deck or whatever, then this effect for 5 mana, pretty good, but 5 mana plus 4 turns overall? I don't know. She's kind of a weak Planeswalker. Now, you already have some 5-drops out. You've got other stuff your opponent has to worry about, and then you throw this down and you're doing a little bit of extra damage, extra damage, extra damage. Oh no, I've got more stuff on the field, and you couldn't deal with this because I have other big cards out. Then it's not so bad, but compared to other Planeswalkers, other cards, kind of a weak card, kind of slow. Beyond, it's just a weak Planeswalker, and all the Planeswalkers in the Planeswalker deck are like that, so keep that in mind. Don't buy the Planeswalkers decks for the Planeswalkers alone to put in your standard deck. They're just not going to do a great job. But it's good artwork. At this power level, it's a good card. I don't want to talk it down too much, but just be aware of that when you're looking at these decks. But I love these Planeswalker decks. I think they're nice to come in. Again, I do, though, wish they were a little more competitive like the Challenger decks were. But let's move on with everything else. I don't want to talk the whole thing down because it is a nice product to have. So the next thing we have in here is we have the rest of the cards. There's actually some nice cards in here. Some cards that I really like, especially the idea behind some of them. There's some cool reprints. I haven't been in the game long enough to, back in the game long enough to speak to which ones are reprints and which ones are new and all of that. So we're just going to kind of run through the cards. This cat is going to try and eat the plastic I just peeled off of here because he's an idiot, and he's also sitting on the binder. All right, there we go. So what do we have here? First off, Demon of Catastrophes. I actually like this card quite a bit. 4 mana, 6/6. Sacrifice a creature as an additional cost. Flying, trample, 6/6. That's just a giant body. This is a great card. You get this on the field, you get it out there at turn 4, it's a lot for an opponent to deal with. You find ways to bring this out of your graveyard. It's a big body, it can fly, it does trample. I love this card. There is nothing bad about this card. Next up, Gravewaker. It's a bird, it's a spirit, has flying, 6 mana for a 5/5 flyer. That's okay. And then for 7 mana, we can return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped, so we can pull stuff out of our graveyard. Again, this deck is built around zombies and pulling things out of the graveyard. That's the theme of the deck. So pretty, not bad card at all. Again, kind of expensive. You get this out at the end, through the end of the game. You've got this extra mana. You can start putting stuff back on the field. Not bad, but kind of expensive. Then we have this weird, all the Planeswalker decks have a card like this. For 4 mana, opponent discards a card, you look at 5, you get to reveal a black card and put it in your hand, put the rest at the bottom of your deck. Not bad for card draw, kind of expensive for it, but you don't see a lot of that. All the decks have a card like that in them. Then, of course, we have the M19 lands, if you want to see the art cycle for these. I think that's all of them, yep. All swamps, of course, because it is an all-black deck. No reason to have non-swamp lands in there. Well, this video is getting long. We're going to have to go through the rest of these pretty quick. Now, the rest of it, I like a lot of these cards in here. 2 mana for Abnormal Endurance. Give +2/+0 to your creature, and when it dies on that turn, it goes back to the battlefield tapped under someone's control. Keep a big thing out there. Kind of like that quite a bit. Blood Divination. Oh no. Oh no, we're going to have to go quick. We're having a camera battery issue. We'll see what happens. Is an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a creature, draw 3 cards. Not bad. Diregraph Ghoul. For 1 mana, 2/2 on the field, enters the battlefield tapped. Oh no. We're having all kinds of trouble here. We have Gravedigger Zombie, 2/2 for 4 mana. Enters the battlefield, return a creature card from the graveyard to your hand. Legends Caress, destroy a creature, gain 3 life. Murder, a lice card, 3 mana, destroy a creature. Reassembling Skeleton, 2 mana for a 1/1. Spend 2 to bring it back from your graveyard. Comes back to the field, always good. Skeleton Archer, 4 mana for a 3/3. Does damage when it comes out. Skymarch Bloodletter, reprint from Ixalan, I think. Arrivals of Ixalan, a 2/2 flyer for 3. Does some life gain, life loss when it comes on the field. Sovereign's Bite, you get 3 life, they lose 3 life. -3, -3 for Strangling Spores until end of turn to creature. Good removal. Vampire Sovereign, like this card, flying 3/4. When it enters, they lose 3 life, you gain 3 life. Again, damaging our opponent. Walking Corpse, basic zombie, 2/2 for 2. Is what it is. It's not bad. It's a body on the field. Meteor Golem. I love Meteor Golem. 7 mana. Goes in any deck. It's a 3/3 body that destroys a permanent when it comes on the field. Love this card. Risen Gorgon. It works with your Planewalker. If it's on the field with your Planeswalker, it gets Death Touch. A 3/3 for 3 is good already. Death Touch added to that makes this a pretty good card if you have a Liliana on the field. Get other Lilianas in your deck. Use that card. And last up, Tattered Mummy. 2 mana for a 1/2. When he dies, each opponent loses 2 life. Just a little bit of added effect and a good body on the field. But again, that is the Planeswalker's deck. Do I dare think we'll get this through? We'll see if we can get this out before the video runs out. We're going to run through it real quick before the battery dies on this camera. Then I got to figure out a new solution for the battery. All right, here we go. Anticipate. Ankaki Ogre. Inspired Charge. Dwindle. Bristling Boar. Bog Stomper. Explosive Apparatus. Cavalry Drillmaster. Spark Tongue Dragon. Wall of Vines. I love walls. We're into the uncommons now. Arcane Encyclopedia. The Fell Spectre. Dominaria reprint. Vigilant Bolath. And our rare... We got an Elvish Clancaller. Awesome card. 2 mana, 1/1, Elf Lord. Gives a +1/+1 to all elves in the field. And later in the game, you can spend some mana to keep pulling the rest of them out of your deck. Get all your lords on there. One of the dual lands from M19 at a blue or black. Comes in tap, the Submerged Boneyard. And a zombie token. So, that is our Planeswalker deck. Again, it's a nice product, a good entry-level product. Some good cards inside the deck itself. But again, the Planeswalker herself, just not that powerful. Well, that's going to be our opening for this product. I'm going to say thanks for watching. Please tell your friends. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, we hope to see you soon.